welcome back. I'm Tedward, and today, thanks to Bond Group in Waltham, Massachusetts, we are driving a legendary Italian supercar. This is a 2003 Lamborghini Murcielago, and it has a 6-speed manual transmission, as it should. Now, a lot of cars have E-gear. E-gear is not everybody's favorite single clutch automated gearbox, but with a proper gated manual, this car is dang near perfect. And my goodness, it still looks just as good today as it did the first time I saw it back in the early 2000s. The shape is fantastic. I don't know what to say. I'm so excited to be driving this car despite the fact that it's early December. It's under 40 degrees and we are on some fairly old tires. So we're gonna make a lot of fun noises today, but please forgive me if I don't go careening through corners in this because, you know, we need to survive for the next video. But it doesn't really matter because the sense of theater with this monster engine and the crazy exhaust sounds this thing makes, oh man, it's just worth it. So let me just show you under the hood real quick, give you a peek around the car. There's our 6.2 liter V12 producing nearly 580 horsepower. This is pre-LP640, so this isn't the big boy. This isn't like the most desirable of the bunch, but because it has that gated 6-speed, still pretty cool. And one of my favorite features of the Murcielago are these big cooling inlets that come up when needed. But overall, the shape of this car is so iconic. It looks like you strapped yourself to a rocket because everything behind you is the powertrain, even though it's all-wheel drive. So it does send up to 30% of that power to the front wheels with like a viscous center diff coupling. Kind of trick stuff, something that I actually talked to Valentino Balboni about when we were driving along for about 2 hours in an SVJ Zago. But I'm sure this isn't your first rodeo. You've seen plenty of Murcielagos in the wild, but today I want to just take you for a drive and show you what it's like. Traction control is going to get really angry at me a lot today, but we're going to do our best to keep it sorted. Let's pop in here, windy day. Oops, that's the Maybach key. Where's my Lamborghini key? There it is. All right, there's an immobilizer. So we got to hit this first. I'm gonna see if that works. I don't think that was it. That's not it. Well, maybe it is. We'll try it. It's not it. And it's very mad at me. Oh, Lamborghini stuff. Don't use this as a getaway car. All right. Bing bong. That's what I wanted to hear. Oh. All of the warnings, all of the beeps. That airbag light is not going to go away. We can fix that. There's probably just a loose connection because we noticed that happen when we move the steering wheel up and down. Lamborghini problems, not a big deal. And one of these little buttons had popped off, and I could get it on for the most part, but I'll let someone who's more talented than I do that. Now this cabin is actually really cool, and I like that the seat belts go from the inside out, and that's nice and tucked away. Simple buttons, right? We've got our window switches here. We've got our nose lift, which I believe was optional, traction control, and then you can raise and lower those big vents on the outside. And then your HVAC system hidden down here. Very cool stuff. This interior, I think, is really nice for this period of Lamborghini. It's very distinctively Lamborghini, and I feel like this is very cool. My pedals are offset just a little bit, so I am in kind of a goofy position when we're driving. I feel like I'm facing this way on the road, but that's fine. And then, of course, our gated manual 6-speed makes a nice good thunk every time you get into gear. And then to get it into reverse, you push down and over. But that's nice, you get a lockout, so that way you're not ever going to go into reverse accidentally when you go for first. Got just enough storage. We've got room here for a phone, and actually in the door there's a little cubby where this handle is, so you're good to go there. Lock, unlock buttons, all of the things. Our e-brake here, just like an Aston Martin, and we're down, we're not down. There it is. Okay, in the first, off we go. All right, so let's give her a little bit of gas, see what happens. She ain't slow, I'll tell you that much. a car. Oh my goodness. Brakes are fantastic. Jeez, this thing really hustles, man. I know everybody lusts after the LP640, but this is no slouch. And then let's just pretend we're commuting, normal stuff. 6 gear, 70 miles an hour, 2,500 RPM. What a happy bunny. Ooh, yeah. Ooh, yeah, this is good, man. I'll tell you what, there's a lot of faster cars out there today. You can get yourself in a 992 turbo, and you get yourself in a lot of interesting cars that have launch control and all kinds of funky features. This thing has so much character. I am thrilled to drive this car. All I want to do is drive this car more. Man, I want to put 100,000 miles on a Murcielago manual. This is fantastic. Double check that gate. Nice thing about those gated manuals, you can look. You know you're not going to mess up. Because if you ever like, oh, that didn't feel right, you just take a quick peek and make sure you're there. So needless to say, I think I'm pretty in love, but let's talk about what it's like to drive. You know, I thought this was going to be a bit more of a handful. The best thing about this car, obviously, is the gated shifter, because it's a nice thunk into every gear. The weight is perfect. It's so springy and lovely. It's really fun to operate. The clutch, though, not as heavy as I anticipated. I thought this was going to be a severe workout in order to get this thing in and out of gear. It's not. It's actually pretty pleasurable. It's really nice to rev out this buttery smooth V12. Feels fantastic. And then I love the forward visibility because I'm so low to the ground. This car is incredibly low. And then I've got this great rake on the windscreen that lets me see right in front of me. So this would be really fun to take out to a racetrack or some fun back roads to really enjoy placing it apex to apex. Now, steering is, you know, it's light, but it's really communicative. I can feel everything going on with this car. There's no questions. Not hard to rev match. This does have a drive-by-wire throttle, and it's mapped pretty nicely. The first little bit of travel is a little dull. It makes kind of getting off the line a little tricky, but once you get used to it, this is just a joy. Love the way this engine just evolves throughout the rev range. It just sounds different from idle to redline, and the whole crescendo on the way up. My goodness. That just makes it entertaining to drive in any situation. You just always feel like a little bit of throttle, a lot of bit of throttle, going fast, going slow. It all feels entertaining. The beautiful thing about a big displacement engine is you get all this low down torque. It's so incredibly smooth, even from idle. You know, you don't have to worry about keeping those revs sky high just to move around. This is actually very simple to drive in traffic. Who knew? The suspension, while obviously somewhat stiff as a Murcielago is going to be, pretty compliant. Like, you can drive this on the road, and I think that's what I really like about Lamborghinis, is just that they are like road-going supercars. They aren't necessarily track stars. They aren't trying to set that lap record necessarily. I mean, they do now, but I don't think that at the time they were. I think at the time they were just trying to make the best possible supercar experience you could ask for on the road. But you've always got to be careful with a supercar. You can't go bombing down some of the roads that you'd like to do because they're low to the ground. You don't want to bottom out. You don't want to scuff up that front lip. This does have a nose lift, but you know, that's more for speed bumps. You could definitely do some damage if you bottomed out on a road like this. So, you know, best to have a good idea of where you're driving and what those roads are going to look like when you get there. Always a little bit of stress driving supercars on roads like this, though, just because you don't want to get T-boned, you know? You want to be safe. Oh, it's so easy to find every gate. I mean, look, I know this is like a dumb thing, but I really want a Murcielago, obviously. But man, oh man, you gotta get it with the manual. Spend the money. It's good. This has exceeded all my expectations. I mean, if I'm being really honest, I kind of expected this to be a hunk of shit. And it is not. This is so good. This is so good. This was like a don't meet your hero car. And I've been like intimidated by it for a little while. Now I'm driving it and I'm in love. So I think that's gonna do it for me today. I hope to drive another one of these someday. I mean, this might be the first and only time I ever get to really experience a Murcielago, especially with a manual transmission. But my goodness, this has been a real treat. I hope someday I get to drive one on fresh tires so traction control isn't barking at me the whole way along. Special thanks to Bond Group for letting me burn some fuel through a 6.2 liter V12 and making my dreams come true. Thank you guys so much for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. Don't forget to respect the drive, and I'll see you in the next one. I wish I could just chuck this in, but old tires.